Let me say for the record that those live-action Scooby-Doo movies from the early 2000s were golden. Completely devoid of imperfection or blemish. Absolute staples of the time period. Pay no attention to Rotten Tomatoes or any other liberal news propaganda that tries to tell you otherwise.
The fact that the filmmakers went out and got talented people like Isla Fisher and Matthew Lillard is commendable. But since they stuck them into thankless roles in a shitty Scooby-Doo movie, say it I shall.
Because they are all objectively and hopelessly incorrect, and may sweet Mother Mary have mercy on their immortal souls. Alright, enough joking around. The Scooby-Doo movies were some of my favorite things to watch as a kid, and I'll admit, I still get a kick out of them even today. They are very much a product of their time, and whether or not they aged well is anyone's guess. But you can't deny that these are genuinely fun, interesting, entertaining, and just good movies. And watching them as a kid made them that much more awesome. I really wish they would have made more sequels. Just kidding. They did. And they are something else. I call these sequels even though they technically aren't. I mean, they were both produced under the titles Scooby-Doo 3 and Scooby-Doo 4 respectively, but they eventually just dropped the numbers when they realized how incompatible they were with the originals. They were also released directly onto Cartoon Network rather than in theaters, which I guess sort of excuses the terrible special effects and acting.
My new car!
So what are these movies exactly? Good question. Let's begin by taking a gander at the first one. Scooby-Doo, The Mystery Begins. So this one is supposed to tell the origin story of Mystery Inc., and it is quite the story. First off, they introduce Scoobert.
Don't worry, Scoobert.
As this sheltered dog that nobody wants, even though he possesses the gift of speech. Imagine having a talking dog as an option and then choosing this lame-ass nothing instead. Stupid kids. Anyway, there's some mix-ups. Scoobert gets abandoned, sees some crappy CGI ghosts, and gets scared, even though this face is 1,000 times more terrifying, and quite literally leaps into this random dude's window, who just so happens to be the far less powerful iteration of Shaggy.
What's the matter, boy? Something out there got you spooked?
Roast.
A roast? Like, what's so scary about a delicious roast?
This talking animal just broke into your house. Why are you not trembling in fear? So I guess Shaggy has no friends or something, because he immediately disguises Scoob as a student and tries to sneak him onto the school bus with him. Why all the secrecy? All he needs to do is just talk and no one will suspect a thing. There's like a fight which causes the bus driver to momentarily forget how to drive, and well, this happens.
Hey, you kids! Knock it off back there! My new car!
Oh, don't tell me you're gonna do what I think you're gonna do. Oh, come on. Detention? That's how the most iconic crime-fighting teenage plus dog crew got their start? By breakfast clubbing? So right off the bat, you begin to notice some subtle changes that this movie makes to the characters. For instance, they made Velma Asian, they made Daphne ugly, and in one of the most boneheaded decisions in cinema history, the cardinal sin of this movie, the absolute lapse in judgment by the casting committee, they chose to get a Fred with black hair. Are you kidding me? Are you actually serious here? What, are you mentally ill? Do you suffer from some kind of developmental ailment? Did your mother abandon you as a child? How could you possibly be this much of a cunt-ass piece of shit, son of a bitch, motherfucking cocksucking shit? In the first two live-action Scooby-Doo movies, Freddie Prinze Jr. played the role of Fred. Freddie Prinze Jr. is not naturally blonde. Do you know how they remedied this? Wigs, hair dye, sometimes both. They didn't just go, screw it, we'll just have a not blonde Fred. These guys aren't starting their own band here. How hard could it possibly be to just give this man a wig, or cast someone with blonde hair? There, I just had to get that out of my system. This movie tried to give each member of the group some additional character traits. Velma's an aspiring scientist, Daphne's in the drama club, and Fred is the quarterback of the football team, because of course he is. Do you really think that a dude that wears crap like this is going anywhere near a football field? So, some shenanigans ensue, the school gets terrorized by more poorly rendered ghosts, and one thing leads to another, and the gang finds themselves expelled from school. Jeez Louise.
Well, I am pleased to inform you that your suspensions have been lifted.
Hallelujah!
Because now you're all expelled.
Even better! Oh, wait.
And if you set one foot on school property ever again, I will have you all arrested for trespassing.
I knew a kid that literally called a bomb threat on my school who didn't even get expelled, but sure, let's expel these guys for not even doing anything. Now, we're kinda starting to see the makings of Mystery Inc., and not one of them is fazed by the presence of a sentient, sapient, self-aware, talking animal. The gang decides to use Daphne's car to get around, and since her wealthy family couldn't be bothered to get her a Prius, a Mustang, or an Infiniti, or whatever cars they give rich white girls these days, she has to drive around this old van, which, coming from a teenage perspective, is honestly the best kind of car a high school student could have. That's a lot of backseat room. Imagine how much studying you could get done. So we have the Mystery Machine, and no one to drive it, because...
When I turn 16, they're buying him a new one.
What? Is nobody here older than 15? No 15-year-old in human history has ever looked like these guys.
Like, I have my license. See? Oh, like, all right, I got held back. Twice.
You stupid.
Never mind then. So there's this mysterious hooded dude that's been summoning all the ghosts, and he looks like something out of Eyes Wide Shut. He turns out to be the principal. And his entire motivation for trying to kill all of them is this.
It's just a bunch of old letters and papers and stuff.
Not just letters. Letters with stamps. And look at this one. It's a misprint.
Yes, the eerie stamp. The most valuable misprint in the entire world.
Oh, come on. That's why you summon all those ghosts? If I had that ability, I'd probably rob a bank or something. It'd definitely get me more money than a dumb stamp. So the gang gets celebrated, they decide to solve more mysteries together, and then the movie's over. The end. I really just skimmed through this one because apart from introducing the gang, holding the vice principal hostage, stalking the janitor, and defeating the CGI ghosts, this movie doesn't really offer a whole lot. I mean, there is this one scene that tries to bring back Hot Velma in reference to the previous movies, which, comparatively, falls a bit short. This movie isn't very interesting, it isn't very memorable, it's basically just a movie that was made and exists, and sucks. That's about it. Now that we're done with this one, we can move on to the real treat, Scooby-Doo and the Curse of the Lake Monster, which we'll explore in part 2.
Scooby-Dooby-Doo, where are you? We got some work to do now.